So equity indexed annuities, they were actually originally called that. Now that's pretty much an old-timey term, and since they're not considered a security, that's why now the more common term is called a fixed indexed annuity because it is considered a type of fixed annuity. It's not a security, but it's kind of has some interesting caveats. So generally speaking, your return is going to be linked to the S&P. So even though it's linked to the S&P, it's not considered a security. So you actually don't need your your 6 and 63 to sell it. All you just need is your life and health insurance license, which is kind of statewide. So basically, with an EIA or an FIA, you're going to get somewhere between your floor and your cap, right? So your floor is just, no matter how low the market goes, you're always going to get at least that floor. So it could be zero, could be two. And obviously, if it's going to be zero, your cap might be a little higher. If it's going to be two, your cap's probably going to be a little bit lower, right? And you're never going to surpass that cap or ceiling. So meaning if the market just goes up 30%, you're only going to get as high as that cap. The other thing is that they can institute is some kind of like participation rate or spread or margin fees. Or participation rate is going to be a percentage of what you would receive based on the market up to the cap. And then a spread fee would be a number, or a margin fee would be a number taken off the top of what you would receive. So just an example, let's say if you had a equity indexed annuity with a floor of 0 and a cap of 10 and 80% participation rate. The market goes down 10, you get 0, because obviously you have a floor of 0. If the market goes up 10, you get 80% of 10, which is 8%, and it's within that cap, so you're good. The market does 20, you would get 80% of 20, 16, but that's more than the cap, so you'd only get the cap, which is 10. So that would be an EIA or FIA, which are not securities. Now there is something similar to that, which is a security. It's called the registered index linked annuity, RILA. So a lot of acronyms in this industry. So that is an actual security. Now, with a RILA, instead of having like a floor, you'll have like a buffer. So meaning maybe you'll have a 10% buffer or 20% buffer. And depending on what that buffer is going to be, that's going to determine how high your cap's going to be. So it's very, very similar, except the difference is you can actually lose money versus with an EIA or FIA, you can't actually lose any money because of the floor, right? And the floor is always going to be, if it's not a security, it's always going to be 0. And again, with the buffers, you have the chance to make more, but it is a real security, so you need to have a 6 and 63 to sell it. But then again, if the market really collapses and drops a lot, you might still take a good loss. So hope that kind of makes sense. So again, EIAs, FIAs, floor caps, margin fees, spread fees, and not a security. And only need your life and health to sell it. And then with a RILA, you do need your 663 life and health to sell it. And in that case, you actually you usually have like a buffer, a cap, and a floor. And you might have some other parts of it, but that's kind of the main points. Thanks for listening. Hope you have enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.